In this lesson, we're going to be talking about steganography techniques. Specifically, we're going to be talking about images and related media files where you could use those media files to store information or other files. So there are a lot of different techniques for doing that at the actual implementation stage, and that has to do with how the image or the file is actually structured on disk. There may be ways of using bits or bytes that aren't used very often to be able to store information. There may be metadata in a file where the data that you're trying to hide is stored in. You may be able to tack information onto the end of a file, for example. So there's a lot of different methods of actually implementing steganography. But in terms of actually just using it, let me show you a couple of applications here that actually implement these steganography techniques. So I've got one here called Silent Eye, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to drag and drop it into that space, and I'm going to say encode that file. Now, what I can do here is I can either select a file that I want to encode, or I can just store some text. So I could say, hi, this is a message I want to encode. So not very exciting, but I can actually store this message inside this file. So I'm going to say encode, and I'm going to store that inside of the directory /users/administrator. So now I've got two files here. I've got the original, and it says here that's stored in sample pictures. And if I highlight this one, it's stored in just C:/user/administrator. So let's decode this one and see if we can get the text back. So we'll run the decode on that, and you can actually see here it actually says where it's going to store the information, and it looks like it's going to store it at the bottom of the file, or it did store it at the bottom of the file when we did the encoding. So you've got some different ways of encoding the information right up here. So I could have done a bitmap as opposed to the JPEG that it originally was. And you can see we got the decoded message back. So that's one program that can be used. It's called Silent Eye. It works pretty well and reasonably straightforward in how it gets used or how to actually use it. And let me run another one here called Hiderman. And this happens to be a trial version that I'm just going to attempt here. So I'm going to choose a file to hide into, and I'm going to go to my pictures here, and let's use the chrysanthemum, and choose the files I want to hide. Let's actually hide the JPEG so we can hide the penguins inside the chrysanthemum. So now we are encrypting and we are hiding the file, and it looks like it's been stored back in chrysanthemum.jpg. Now I can unhide the file right there, and it says this file is hiding file, so I can actually extract the hidden files here, and let's put it up above so we can actually see what we got. And we're decrypting the hidden files now, and I want to rename it, so I'm going to call it New Penguins. So now I should have a file called New Penguins right there, and it looks just like the other one. And it looks like Silent Eye has actually attached itself to the file extension JPEG, and it's being used to actually render the JPEG. But so we've got those two penguins and new penguins, and they look identical, even though one of them was originally stored inside the other one. So we've got new penguins at 759K, and we've got penguins that's also 759K. And then we've got chrysanthemums over here, which was the carrier that we used, and that's what the file that is used to store a piece of information is called. It's called a carrier. So we've got these programs that are capable of taking files or just simply text and storing them inside of, in this case, storing them inside of images. So there are a lot of different programs that will do that, and we just happened to take a look at a couple called Hiderman and Silent Eye.